is Kevin Warsh's confirmation hearing on pause right now until this investigation into Powell goes away.
Unless Tom Tillis has changed his mind or something has happened that would cause that to happen, it is.
If you're not able to block this logjam, is there a chance that Jay Powell stays beyond May 15th?
Yeah, I don't know about that, Maria. I'd have to be convinced by lawyers that that's absolutely the case. But even avoid, there's got to be somebody that is acting as a chair.
And that's North Dakota Senator Kevin Cramer with me on this program a couple of weeks ago on Kevin Warsh's confirmation hearing for Chairman of the Federal Reserve. Kevin Warsh now apparently clearing a financial disclosure hurdle, submitting the required paperwork to the Senate. Committees need a week notice before a hearing, which could put him on track for a confirmation by next week, provided Senator Tom Tillis drops his pushback over the criminal investigation into Jay Powell. He said he's not going to confirm Warsh until the Powell investigation is dropped. Joining me now is South Carolina Senator Tim Scott. He's the chairman of the Senate Banking Committee. Mr. Chairman, thank you so much for being here. Always a pleasure to see you.
Good morning, Maria.
So what's the story?
Yes, ma'am. Good to be with you again.
What's the story? Are you expecting Tom Tillis to drop it and confirm Kevin Warsh?
The answer is yes. It'll be a two-step process, Maria. The first step for us is next week. I want to break this news on your show. Next week, we'll have a hearing with Kevin Warsh being present. We'll talk through the economy, we'll talk through price stability and inflation. We'll talk about the independence of the Fed. And then the second step, later on, we'll have a vote on Kevin Warsh. I believe that the DOJ will finish and wrap this up in the next several weeks, and Tom Tillis will be a yes on Kevin Warsh. He said very positive things about Kevin, but the good news is so has every other Republican on the committee. Frankly, the last time Kevin Warsh was up to be a Federal Reserve governor, he passed by unanimous consent, I believe. Yeah,
no, I know. The Senate likes Kevin Warsh a lot, and I suspect Tom Tillis likes him as well. But he's trying to make a point here.
He does.
Have you heard specifically from Tom Tillis that he told you if this wraps up within the next week, I will support Kevin Warsh?
Well, he's been very clear publicly and in private that he is going to support Kevin Warsh as far as we can tell. The one thing he has suggested is that the DOJ has to be done with their investigation of Jay Powell. I believe that we are getting closer and closer to that being a reality in the next few weeks. That allows us to move forward as a committee and vote Kevin Warsh to the floor of the Senate. That will get him confirmed in the next several weeks.
Now, I want to move on, but this is the final question here on this issue. Do you have any evidence that Jeanine Pirro and President Trump, they're going to drop this criminal investigation into Jay Powell?
I think I don't have any evidence of that. No, is the simple answer. I do believe that the DOJ, all evidence I've seen, all fingers point in the direction of having this wrapped up in the next few weeks. That's really good news for us to restore the independence of the Fed. The American people deserve a Fed focused on them, not on politics, as it has been under Jay Powell.
And just hypothetically speaking, if we don't see an end to that investigation, do you believe Jay Powell will stick around? Will he stay in the chairman role after May 15th or stay on the board?
There are a lot of options of that board, including Mickey Bowman, who's doing a really good job. I won't get into the prediction business, but what I can say is I'm very confident that the DOJ will wrap this up very soon. We will have Kevin Warsh in office in the next few weeks.
We spoke with Mickey Bowman recently when she came out with her proposals for the Basel III Endgame, which was very interesting. And I know that you agree regulations need to be easier on the major banks when it comes to the amount of capital that they hold, right?
And Maria, when you think about what's happened over the last several years, every year the capital on the sidelines goes up, up, up. And what Mickey has said is the capital has met the level of being able to withstand another 2008 crisis by 2 or 3. And so it allows for us to move forward on making sure that there's more access in the market for people to start businesses, to borrow money for homes and cars. How do you do that? You don't park capital on the sidelines. You allow it to become active in the economy. Small business owners, first-time home buyers need access to credit. The only way to have that is not to have it on the sidelines. sidelines, but to put it to work for the American people. And that's one of the focuses I'm looking forward to being restored under Jay Powell and Michael, the former supervisor. We saw the exact opposite. We saw more capital being parked on the sidelines, banks rewarded for not lending money, taking risk, and now we're going to see the American economy work as it has always intended to be working.
Well,
good
by the
news
way,
for the economy.
yeah, I mean, it's a total night and day situation when you look at what you're seeing now from, Mickey Bowman versus what you saw from her predecessor in the oversight role, Michael Barr. Same
Michael
thing
Barr,
when you look at the, same thing
yes.
when you look at the Securities and Exchange Commission, by the way, Gary Gensler, and what he was doing to the industry in terms of regulation.
Praise God.
Wow. And now, of course, Paul Atkins. All right, let me move on because the Senate, your colleagues returning from Easter recess, opening up the committee's markup window. And I want to get your take on the Clarity Act. The text bans passive yield on stablecoin balances, permits only narrowly defined activity-based rewards. And, we want to understand here, Tillis is also reportedly aiming to release a draft resolving the Clarity Act stablecoin yield dispute. Where are you on this? Should crypto platforms be able to pay rewards to individuals and companies that move money onto the crypto platforms in the form of stablecoin or cash or whatever? And if they were to do that, is that going to cause people to take money out of traditional deposit accounts in the banks?
Well, the White House came out with a report just recently that suggested quite the opposite would be the case, that we have not seen any savings accounts leak into stable coins. We actually saw an increase in the number of dollars put into savings accounts since the third quarter of last year. I wanted to dig into those numbers to make sure that I understood and appreciated the reality versus the fiction of this, the flight of savings deposits. We haven't seen that, to be honest with you, since the passage of the Genius Act. So the question really is, what's the real issue? And the real issue is fear. Sometimes they say fear of false evidence appearing real. That's a fact today. We have not seen the leakage that people have talked about, but what we will see is America remaining the dominant economy on the planet. We have to embrace not only the digital asset conversation, we have to embrace the future of finance in the world, and that requires us to have a conversation about the future being here in America first. And we need to be the most dominant economy in the world. It requires us to have a serious conversation about crypto firms being domiciled here, founders creating the next big thing in America, and we're going to get that done.
So when do you expect the markup of Clarity?
Well, I won't be as clear on that as I was on Kevin Warsh, because there are three major components that need to be solved. Number one, the rewards issue. I believe we'll have that solved within the next 2 weeks. Number two, we got to make sure that the DeFi piece is in place, and I believe that that is almost as close as the rewards piece. And then number three, we need to make sure that every single Republican's on the same page at the same time. And frankly, I think that takes another couple of weeks for us to get there as well. So I'm optimistic that as we head into summer, we'll be done with the issue of the Clarity Act, and we'll be moving on to other really important topics.
All right. Well, also going into the summer, you're working on a reconciliation plan. The president said he wants it on his desk by June. Now, I know you and your colleagues meeting today for the first time since late March as you work to try to fast-track funding for immigration enforcement without Democrat support in a reconciliation plan. I mean, after all, the Department of Homeland Security has been closed now for 60 days. This is the 60th day. What can you tell us in terms of your plans for reconciliation, sir?
Well, for the last several weeks, we've been working on the budget tool that you're talking about. And so the good news is that our CMIT is basically drawing as we speak. We're going to take care of the Department of Homeland Security. Frankly, we already have taken care of the Department of Homeland Security. We need to work, frankly, in a bicameral way to get it done. I think we're going to see that hit the finish line before the end of May. So I'm really optimistic about where we are. Frankly, let's not forget why we are here. Republicans in the House, Republicans in the Senate, we have done our jobs. The Democrats refuse, even in the midst of an Iran conflict, to take care of America's national security here at home. They have stonewalled the President of the United States. They have let down the American citizens. It is time for them to do their jobs. We have done our jobs. We're going to continue to do our jobs. The budget tool is now the only way for us to protect the American people because the Democrats refuse to show up and do their jobs.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, and you make a really good point. I mean, we are in the middle of a war, and your colleagues refuse to open the Department of Homeland Security. Is there a way to remove the filibuster just on that for national security issues so that you could get the department open and funded?
Well, I can guarantee you this, we're going to do it one way or the other. Whatever it takes, we should be willing to do. Every single Republican has already been on record of supporting funding the Department of Homeland Security. I will vote for it in any form it comes to the table, and that's what we should be doing. The most important thing you are elected to do, Maria, when you're a Congress member, is to vote for protecting the national security of the United States of America.
Are you
protecting
saying,
the homeland?
Are you saying that you support perhaps removing the filibuster?
I support whatever it takes to get the job done. I think there's only one reason why I am elected to be a United States Senator representing the great state of South Carolina, and it starts with national security.
Of course.
Everything else is less important. If we are not a secure nation, nothing else matters. The economy doesn't matter. Nothing matters if we are not a secure nation. We should do all that we can to get that job done. But the Democrats, they could be helpful in getting this done right now.
Are you going to be able to message all of this, Senator, before the midterm elections? I mean, you've got to message that national security is a priority. You've also got to message your affordability calls in the face of oil prices that are up 50% in the last month.
Well, they're still lower than they were under President Biden, so that's good news. Number one, yes, affordability will be solved. Number two, the gas prices are coming down. Number three, we can thank President Trump and Republicans for doing both.
Senator, great to see you this morning. Thank you so much for taking all of that on.
God bless.
Always a pleasure.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.